Hello and welcome. I am a hotel AI expert with extensive experience in modern hospitality operations and performance support. I am so pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. Today, we're going to put on our detective hats to investigate one of the most crucial documents in the hotel industry, the profit and loss statement. We're going to learn how to look past the surface level numbers to uncover the real story of a hotel's financial health. In hotel management, you can think of the profit and loss statement, or the P&L, as we call it, as the hotel's ultimate report card. It really gives you a clear score, right? A final grade on how well the business is performing. On the surface, it's the main way we measure success. But this is where our investigation really kicks off. What if those grades, that final number, don't tell the whole story? What if some costs have been conveniently shifted around, or maybe profits have been, let's say, creatively managed? To really protect an owner's investment, this is the critical question you have to start asking. All right, let's officially open the case. If you want to be a true guardian of a hotel asset, you have to go way beyond just glancing at that bottom line. The real story, the hotel's actual performance, is almost always hidden in the details. It's a fundamental principle, really. See, anyone can read a final number on a page, but a real professional, a true leader, knows their job is to dissect that number, to understand every single piece that went into creating it, and, most importantly, to question if it's telling the absolute truth. So how do we actually do that? Well, it's about shifting your mindset. It's about thinking less like a bookkeeper and more like a financial detective. So let's build our toolkit for what we call a forensic analysis of any P&L. Okay, the first tools in our kit are called accruals and reversals. Now, these are perfectly standard accounting practices, but they can sometimes be used to play games with timing. For example, let's say a big maintenance bill is due this quarter. A manager who really wants to hit their quarterly bonus might use an accrual to delay that expense, pushing it into the next quarter. All of a sudden, this quarter looks a whole lot more profitable than it actually is. And that right there, that's the trail of clues you're looking for. The real detective work isn't just about spotting the accrual in the first place. It's about following through. When that cost finally shows up in the next quarter's P&L, you can see exactly how profits were basically borrowed from the future just to make the present look a little better. So, with our toolkit ready, where do we start looking? We need to know exactly where to point our magnifying glass. Because you know what? Not all lines on the P&L are created equal. Some of them are notorious hiding spots for suspicious costs. This is the question you should always be asking. You're not just a passive reader of a report. You're an active hunter. You're hunting for discrepancies, for any numbers that just don't seem to match up with what's really happening at the hotel. So let's look at some common hiding spots. First up, in the rooms department, be wary of a vague line item called other expenses. It can be a real dumping ground for costs that don't belong there. Then, under admin in general, you might find travel costs for the corporate office that don't actually benefit your specific property. And what about marketing? Is that budget funding a huge national campaign, or is it actually driving direct bookings to your hotel? The only way to verify this stuff is to dig into the general ledger. That's the detailed record of every single transaction, and see the raw data for yourself. So, after following all the clues and scrutinizing these hotspots, we finally arrive at the revelation. This is the moment where all our detective work really pays off, and we get to see how this deep dive can completely change our perspective on the hotel's performance. At the end of the day, this entire process is about one thing: making sure the gross operating profit, or GOP, is legit. The GOP is probably the most important indicator of how efficiently a management team can run the hotel. Our job is to make sure that number is real and not some kind of accounting fiction. And this chart says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you have the reported GOP. That's the number that looks great, the one that might have even earned somebody a bonus. But then on the right, after we've made our forensic adjustments, we see the true GOP. And that gap between the two bars, that's the value of your detective work. It represents the hidden truth that you've managed to bring to light. So, what's the final verdict? Why should you master the skill? Well, it's about elevating your role from just being a manager to becoming a true guardian of the asset. Look, this is about so much more than just catching mistakes. It's about creating a culture of real accountability. This level of scrutiny prevents complacency. It makes sure that every single dollar is being used as an effective investment in the hotel's long-term health, not just getting lost in some hidden inefficiency.
So I want you to remember this. A P&L is more than just a report. It's a narrative, a story built from thousands of individual decisions. Your job is to learn how to read between the lines, to question everything, and to uncover the real story that's hiding in the data. Every single number tells a story. The question is, are you prepared to uncover the truth?